Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 467 of the Juicebox Podcast. Today's show is going to be a little different. You'll see how in just a moment. But for those of you who are always asking for kids to be on so that, my kids want to listen to other kids on the show, I got you covered here. Wait till you see. As you're listening, please remember that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. I'm going to take advantage of this extra music to remind you that the Diabetes Pro Tip episodes are available right here in your podcast player. They begin at episode 210, as are the Defining Diabetes episodes and so much more, After Dark, and all of the other episodes. If you're listening in a podcast player, please hit subscribe. Tell a friend about the show, and if you're confused about any of that, you can figure it out at juiceboxpodcast.com. I'm going to push record so nobody curse, okay?
Okay. Okay.
If one of you was going to curse, which would the most likely one be?
Probably Amaya.
Yeah. Probably me. Probably me.
All right, well, that's a fair statement. Okay, so listen, there's going to be one thing here that we're going to have to be careful about while we're doing this. I have never done this with this many people before, but you're young, so I can explain it to you. And unlike old people who'd be like, wait, what? You'll understand, okay? So okay. I'm recording all three of your voices on one audio track. So that means if you talk over each other, it's just going to sound like a lot of voices and I won't be able to fix it later. So that's why I was thinking, let's put the video on so we can see each other so we don't talk over each other. Now, inevitably, if I say something hilarious and we all laugh, that's fine, okay? But just don't talk over each other and we're going to be good. Unless it gets crazy and you know what I mean? Don't stifle yourself, but that's it. Okay, so, all right, let me try to figure out what the hell's going on here. Which one of you emailed?
Me.
Nicole emailed? Nicole,
pardon me?
Yeah. You're the one that emailed?
Yes.
All right. And what's that on your arm? Is that an Omnipod?
Yeah.
Okay.
We all have Omnipod.
So all
mine's on my leg.
Hold on a second. All three of you have diabetes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do this because, okay, geez. All right. Let's introduce everybody first. Nicole, you go first because you sent the email. If you're a U.S. resident who has type 1 diabetes or a U.S. resident who is the caregiver of someone with type 1 diabetes, you can support T1D research and the Juicebox Podcast right there from your phone. The T1D Exchange wants you to participate in their quick survey that can be completed in just a few minutes. After you finish with the questions, and they are really simple, I've done it myself, it probably took like 7 or 8 minutes, and the information that you provide helps people living with type 1 diabetes. This is 100% anonymous, completely HIPAA compliant, and does not require you to ever see a doctor or go to a remote site. Every time someone completes the process using the link in my bio, the podcast benefits, as do people living with type 1 diabetes. So if you've been looking for a way to help T1D research, this podcast, or both, nothing could be easier or more beneficial. So one last time, just go to t1dexchange.org/juicebox, click on Join Our Registry Now, and answer the simple survey questions. Past participants just like you have helped to increase insurance coverage for blood glucose meter strips, impacted changes in the American Diabetes Association's guidelines for pediatric A1C goals, helped for the FDA to expand CGM labeling to include finger stick replacements, and Medicare coverage of CGM devices. t1dexchange.org/juicebox.
My name is Nicole Kachelski, and I'm 15. My family's originally from Poland, but we moved to the United States, and then we moved to the Cayman Islands. And Kyla and Amaya are in the same high school, but I'm going to be moving to that high school next year as well, so we'll all be together. And we all love to play instruments. So I play the violin and the piano.
Let's go Amaya next. Tell me about you.
Okay. So I'm the oldest. I'm 17, and I'm the newest to Cayman Islands. I moved here about a year and a half ago, and my parents are teachers. My mom is Ecuadorian, and my dad's Venezuelan. And I lived in Ecuador before I moved here. And I also play instruments. I also play the violin and the piano.
Violin and the piano. Okay. All right. Ready? I'm just trying to keep this all in my head. So, Kyla, who the heck are you?
Yeah. Well, I'll be 13 in 9 days, so I'm the youngest of the group. I'm like, I don't know, I'm kind of like their little sister. And I was born in California, and my parents are both teachers. My dad's a principal, and then my mom is a teacher. And we moved to the Cayman Islands when I was 5. And I've been here for like 8 years. And they moved here because they wanted to teach at an international school. Mm-hmm. And we all met kind of through different ways, but mainly through orchestra. We all are in Cayman Youth Orchestra, and I play the flute.
Okay. Nicole, did you say how old you were? I forgot.
Yeah, I'm 15.
All right. So you guys are 17, 15, and 13.
Yeah.
You all live.
Yes.
You live on the Cayman Islands. Let's start with this. Let's be honest for a second. Your parents are just hippies that want to live on a beach, right?
I mean, yeah,
I guess so.
Because every adult says to themselves, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to move to a really sunny tropical place. I'm going to live there. I'm going to do a job, and I'm going to live there my whole life. And then we all chicken out. But your parents actually all did it. And so,
yeah.
So I'm going to say you guys probably have the coolest sets of parents around. Here's what I still don't understand. How do you know about the podcast? Because you guys know, I mean, together, let's be serious for a second. 17, 15, and 13. I haven't done the math yet, but 7 and 3, as we know, is 10. You add 5, you've got 15. Then you carry the 1. Now we're at 45. I'm 49 years old. So collectively, you guys are still not as old as I am by 4 years. How does this happen? Like, I was really stunned to get Nicole's note. Who wants to tell me?
Well, I kind of introduced both of them to the podcast. My mom was like, oh, you should listen to this podcast. And then I was like, oh, that sounds cool, because she's part of all these Facebook groups. Mm-hmm. And, you know, your podcast gets shared all over everything ever. And so my mom was like, oh, you should listen to this. And I was like, I don't know. It's like about diabetes, and I don't really want to like center my life around more diabetes. Right. And then she was like, it's really good. And then one day I was at my brother's baseball games, and I was listening to music, and I was like, I want to listen to a podcast. So I listened to your podcast, and I loved it. And I listened to the Loop episode, and I got my mom, like, I convinced her to get Loop. And then I told Maya and Nicole, I was like, you have to listen to this podcast. It's so great. It's like, it helped me so much. And then, yeah.
All right, you're freaking me out. So are you telling me, okay, Kyla, so what you're telling me is you were so bored at a baseball game, you were willing to listen to a podcast about diabetes.
I mean,
is that right?
I know your son plays baseball, so I'm not like bashing baseball or anything.
It's okay.
But yeah.
Do you want to know what Arden looks like at one of Nicole's baseball games? She looks like she's going to kill herself. Just so you know, she sits there and she's like, why am I here? And I'm like, because we thought it would be nice if you came. And she's like, it's not. So, okay. So now it's interesting because I guess your group is so like smaller because of where you're at, because normally a 17-year-old and a 13-year-old wouldn't know each other. So is that, is that something to do with like where you live?
Well, sort of. I guess you could say that I'm kind of the one who brought the group together, because I'm the one who put Kyla and Nicole in my house and was like, we're all diabetic, so we should be friends. And then I just start playing the game and see how it would work out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Amaya, you're like a diabetes dork then? You were like actually amazed and excited that they had diabetes too? Yes.
Yeah,
Everyone's nodding like, yeah, she's a big dork. Okay. And Nicole, you came, how long have you been there from Poland? You said Poland, right?
Oh, yeah. So I'm the only one in my family that wasn't born in Poland. Like, we visited every year when there wasn't COVID, but I was born in the States and then we moved to Cayman when I was 1. So I would call Cayman my first home, and then America and Poland are like tied as my second, I guess.
Wow. You've lived there for 14 of the 15 years you've been alive. This sounds
Yeah.
really, really lovely. Okay. So we're going to have to do some things we don't normally do. And I'm just going to go by age. So let's start this time at the oldest, and then we'll go to the youngest, then we'll jump around a little bit. So Amaya, how old were you when you were diagnosed, and what do you remember about it?
I was 7 when I was diagnosed. We were all diagnosed in different places. I was diagnosed in Ecuador, and I do remember a lot. I remember going to the hospital. I was diagnosed on Mother's Day and also on the election day for Ecuador. And I remember going to a hospital and the doctors were telling me that I was diabetic, and I didn't really understand what was going on. I understood that I had to have injections, but it didn't really like center on me
Right.
what was going on. And then I didn't have the best education when I was diagnosed because people often confuse type 1 with type 2. So I didn't have a pump till like about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
I got the Dexcom like 5 years after I was diagnosed. I didn't know about carb counting. My A1C was like crazy for the first 4 years that I had type 1. And then it started like progressing after I went to like this conference, and that's where I got Dexcom.
Okay.
And then I moved here, and then I met these girls, and then yeah.
No, you're doing. Let me ask you a question. So when you're diagnosed, are you diagnosed? I this is going to sound funny, but I don't mean to be funny. Were you diagnosed in English, or were the doctors English speaking?
No, they were Spanish speaking. So I learned the vocabulary in Spanish first and then in English.
Is it easier in one language than the other? Easier? For reasons that I wouldn't understand?
I know English better.
Okay, so it's easier in English because you know English better. Okay. All right.
Yes.
I understand. Nicole, how old were you when you were diagnosed?
I was diagnosed at 10 years old, a month before my birthday.
Okay. So about 4 years,
And
4 or 5 years ago?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly 5. And what I remember is that it was actually sports day, and the day was over. And when I got back to school, I couldn't get up the stairs to get to my bag. And I was like, okay, maybe I was just tired from sports day. So I went home and just did everything normally. And through the night, I just kept going to the bathroom, needing to drink so much. Like, I drank the most I've ever drank in my life. And I was eating a lot. And my parents were like, we need to take you to the clinic, like, first thing in the morning.
Right.
So that's what happened. And they did like every test possible on me except for the blood glucose test.
Oh, really?
So as we were driving home, we got a call and they were like, you have to come back right now. We need to test your blood glucose. And so when I did, it was 680, and it's actually the same number that Amaya had.
Yeah.
And they took me to the hospital, and that's where I learned everything. And I was diagnosed in Cayman here.
Okay. So you guys both had the same exact blood sugar when you were diagnosed? That's crazy. Kyla,
Yeah.
what was your blood sugar when you were diagnosed? Do you know?
Me?
Yeah.
I was in like the 400s. It wasn't as bad.
Exactly. She doesn't know exactly. It's not like you guys. You have the exact number. It's okay. How old were you when it happened?
I was 7, so I was diagnosed like 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, so we went back to California for the summer because we go back every summer. Obviously, this year we couldn't go back.
Right.
But that's where all of our family, all of our friends are. So we went back to California, and we'd been there for like all the summer break. And then my dad had left like a couple days before because since he's the principal, he had to come back early. He's a high school principal at our school. And so he had to come back early to start work again. And then my mom and the rest of us could go back like a week or two later. And so when I was diagnosed, my dad wasn't there. And that was kind of like, I don't know. It was different. And so my grandma went, and I remember for like all of our seminars and stuff, she took a bunch of notes, and my mom and I were just freaking out. Mm-hmm. And she took a bunch of notes and then she gave them all to my mom later. And so we were educated really well in California. We were educated at a pretty big hospital. And so we knew all about like carb counting. We knew the basic information that they give you. And I thought that was like basic and like stuff that everyone learns. But then obviously like listening to your podcast and even hearing just like Amaya's story, like it's really different where you're diagnosed. And so it was crazy. And obviously I was a 7-year-old, so my brain capacity was not as sick.
All right, so let's get this part out of the way right now. I don't really know where you are, so my geography is terrible. If I had to guess, and this would be a guess, I think you're closer to the equator, sort of St. John, St. Bart's, but lower. Am I right? Everyone's nodding.
Yeah,
That's not how it works, Nicole. You got to say a word.
We're right next to...
Yeah, we're like near Cuba and Jamaica.
Okay.
Yeah. We're this cute little tiny island. We're like 29 miles long or something.
How cold does it get at the coldest part of the year?
Of our island?
Yeah.
78.
See, that seems
Fahrenheit.
Do you guys need anybody to come there and give like a diabetes talk or anything like that? Because I could do that. Just just get me there, because that sounds right. 78's the coldest it gets all year. Do you ever have storms that are scary?
Oh yeah. We had a very bad hurricane in 2004. Mm-hmm. It was actually a year before I came, but it was Hurricane Ivan. And the actual reason why my parents found this place was because my dad's boss has a business here, and they were like, oh, you should come and help with relief and see this island. And so my dad did come here, and we actually have photos of like all the buildings and the rubble. And it's probably the worst natural disaster that we've had recently.
Amaya, did you see it?
2004.
Were you there on the island when it happened? Amaya?
Me? No, I wasn't.
No. Have you ever seen bad weather?
No, I only came like a year and a half ago, so.
Okay, you just got
I wasn't here.
Gotcha. All right. Geez, this is weird, because now I have questions for all of you, and yet I don't know what to do. So first of all, I think it's obvious. Kyle is the chattiest of the three of you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
I really wish I knew you guys played instruments, because I would have made you bring them. I don't know why yet, but I would have enjoyed that for some reason. Let's ask a couple of questions. So we'll do it by hands, and then I'll fill it in. Does everyone have an insulin pump?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Everyone's got an insulin pump. Is everyone wearing a CGM?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody got a Dexcom, or you have something different?
Dexcom.
I had Libre for about 2 or 3 years, and then I got Dexcom at the end of last year.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And do you have a preference?
Yeah, I would have to say Dexcom.
Why would you have?
Because like the alarms. The alarms are very useful.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay. All right. So that makes sense. Pump. I see one Omnipod, two. You guys all wearing Omnipods?
Yeah. I have mine's on my leg.
All right. Kyla's showing me her leg. I see it. Okay. How do you get them there? Are they for sale there, or your parents like black market trading them or something like that?
They used to not be. And so I would my grandparents, they would bring them every year. And then this year they couldn't bring them. So we were like low on stock. And the pharmacy that it's kind of like near our school. I mean, everything's near our school because our island's so small, but there's this like one pharmacy that started carrying a Dexcom. And then like recently, like a month or two ago, they started carrying the Omnipod. So,
okay. So now you can get them there. So you did, somebody said the island's like, I'm sorry, Amaya, you're right. You say what you're going to say.
No, I was just going to say that my dad's part of the reason why they started carrying Omnipods here, because they had Dexcom. So my dad's like, if you're carrying the CGM, you might as well just carry the pump. So he comes in them to bring the Omnipod here too.
And he was from Ecuador, so they were scared of him because they thought it was possible. Like he had a machine gun, right? And they were like, okay, we'll do it. Is that right? I don't know. Am I just making a joke, or is it no? Is it okay? All right. So that's cool.
It's okay.
So your dad kind of went to bat, and he got them to start carrying the insulin pumps for you guys.
Yeah, because before we'd have to get everything shipped from America through like shipping companies, and they'd have to send them here, and it like if anything got lost or like anything happened, you'd be like without an insulin pump. So we're kind of glad that the pharmacies sell them here now.
So do you guys also have? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like we don't have like a Target on this island. We got Starbucks like a year ago. We don't have like the same things that they have in the US. It's we're owned by the UK. Like our island is owned by the UK. So we have a lot of like we don't have the same things that the US has like on the island.
Right. Do you guys have a bigger stock of insulin pumps than we do? Because I guess you're paying cash for them, right? Or are you American? Like, do you know what I mean? I'm confused a little bit. Like, do you have just 3 months worth at any time, or do you have like way more?
Yeah. I think Kyla has like a year supply. I usually have about 6 months or something. I don't know. Right. It depends on like how much your insurance allows you to have at a time.
Gotcha.
And then you just get it. And
Do you think any of your parents are like secretly spies or anything cool like that?
I wish.
I know. We really love to have like everything stocked up just in case, a hurricane. Oh, we recently had an earthquake. It was such a big surprise because, everybody here has like, a lot of people have recently came, like our population is only 60,000 and a lot of people have come in like the past 10 years and there has not been a single earthquake until January of like 2020. We had a 7.7 and a lot of aftershocks, and it was like the biggest surprise. It was really crazy. But thankfully there was like no tragedies or anything.
That's cool.
We have like from what I think it's like July to like November or like early October is our hurricane season. And so we get like a bunch we get like rain like almost every day. It like pours, and we get tropical storms. Like I wouldn't say like it's like not surprising if we get a tropical storm, just like it happens on a weekend, or like this past year school was canceled for what we thought was going to be another hurricane. So it was kind of scary, but it happens like hurricane seasons every year. So people know how to prepare for it and stuff.
And so when there's hard rains like that, you just live your life, right? You don't hide inside. Like I would hide inside. I'd just be like, I went to Cayman and it got really rainy, so I stayed inside. So that wouldn't happen to you though. You would just go about your business.
People are used to it. Like the island is so flat. The biggest mountain is what we locals call Mount Trashmore. It's our landfill. And there's like no natural mountains. And so every time it pours, the port and like all of the coast gets like kind of flooded. Even when there's like a big storm, the whole port can be just covered in water. And we're just like, we're used to it. It's just another day.
Do you ever have that feeling like there's nowhere to run? Like if something, like imagine Godzilla came for a second, okay? You'd be nowhere, like you couldn't get in a car and run away. What did you say? The whole island's like 29 miles across?
Yeah, something like that.
Exactly,
Am I freaking you out, or is that the first time you ever thought about it? But like you can't really just get away if you want to?
I guess we do have like, since the last hurricane, a lot of our buildings have been made of concrete, and there are a lot more condos than houses probably. So it would be kind of easy to get up high. Like I remember after the earthquake, there was a tsunami warning and everyone instantly went to the highest place of the schools and everything. Cause we were actually, everybody was at school. It was kind of like the middle of the day. So we were like, just find the highest place of the school. It's okay.
Now, Cole, that's how you would escape Godzilla? I'm talking about what if you really got to go? You know what I mean? Like,
I guess get on a boat. I don't know.
Do you have a speedboat available that you could just and how far are you from the next island?
Well, the next island is small. Well, so there are 3 islands that are like in the Cayman Islands. So we have Grand Cayman, which is the one we live on, which is the biggest. And it's like 29 miles long, something like that. And then there's Cayman Brac, which I believe is 11 miles long. And then there's Little Cayman, which is like 4 miles long. So, I mean, you could go to the next island, but it'd be pretty useless.
So,
yeah,
Godzilla
I guess
would just
before
like
COVID.
Before COVID, what, Nicole?
I guess before COVID, when we got like, some days we got like 10 cruise ships at the port, that'd probably be enough to get people out of here.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask Amaya this question because she's the oldest, okay? Do you date? And who do you date? There's like 5 people there, right? Like seriously, Nicole, have you like eyed up like a 35-year-old guy who doesn't look trashy because he's the best you can figure, or they're boys your age? Or how does that all work?
No, I don't.
I'd say we're probably focusing on school right now.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm saying when you get older, like you're going to want to date somebody, boy, girl, something like that, right? So like, where do you find one from? Like, because you don't like.
Well, I'd probably go to the U.S.
Yeah.
Probably not be on the island. Probably be in the U.S.
Everybody knows each other here. Like,
yeah,
the saying "it's a small world" is literally used so much here. You see like half of your class at the supermarket every week. It's crazy.
Like, okay.
There are kids in my class who there are like a couple names on the island that are like the original people that came to the island. I have kids in my class whose last name is like, it's like one of those names, and there are places named after them.
Yeah.
So like there's like Eden Rock, like on the island, and a kid last name is Eden.
Right.
It's like that small. Like we have locals just like in normal classes.
The town I grew up in, there were these 6 streets. They were just these small side streets, and they all had just very simple like people's names. And then I realized that there's a family, and it was literally just the names of the kids and the mother and the father. It was just their first names. I was like, wow. You've been here a long time. But okay, but this doesn't answer my question. So are you going to go to college somewhere else? Like, or is there like a Cayman college? Like, how long can you stay there is my point.
We do have a few colleges. Like we have the UCCI, which is the University College of Cayman Islands. And we have a Truman Bodden Law School that a lot of people go to, which is well known for law. But usually lots of people go back to like bigger countries and things where they have a lot more opportunities for like the certain professions that are like more specific than law or engineering and broader things.
So do you guys think about that ever? Like, do you ever think like, well, I live here my whole life, or am I going to go somewhere else? Do you ever consider that?
Yeah, well, for me and Kyla, we have lived here a lot longer than Amaya.
Mm-hmm.
So it is like a bit of a bigger change for us. But I would say that since we also have family in America, it's not as bad. Like we could come back and visit if there's no COVID next time.
I understand. So, I mean, you understand, most people don't leave their town very often to begin with. Who just came in, Nicole? Do you need me to call 911? Is something going on? Did someone just come in the room?
No,
it's okay.
You're fine. I want to describe to people like how much you guys wanted to do this. You're at your school right now in 3 different rooms on 3 different laptops so that we can talk.
Yeah, I can see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, I'm in the chemistry lab, hence the periodic
I know I saw the periodic table
behind me.
elements behind you. But I'm going to go around the horn here a little bit. I'm going to start with Maya. Like, do you think you're going to stay there forever, or do you think you're going to leave?
Well, I'm a junior in high school, so I've been thinking about college a lot. I'm very indecisive, so I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to go, but I know that I'll definitely leave the island.
Okay. Well, you're the same age as Arden is. Like, Arden's going to be 17 in a couple of months, and she's a junior in high school too. And like, she wants to go to college in New York. So She's bugging out of here as soon as she can, I think.
Dang.
But my point is that she can do that. Like she can just say, oh, I'm going to go to New York and then get on a train or in a car and then eventually be in New York. Whereas I don't know if am I making more of this than it is? Do you not think of yourselves as living in a remote place?
I mean, we do, but also it's really like common for people to just like hop on a plane and go to like some people will like hop on a plane and go to Miami for the weekend if we have like a 3-day weekend, because it's like it's like an hour flight and it's not really a big deal. People don't really like take a boat off the island because that takes them in too long. But
I mean, I'm looking at a map. Obviously, Florida is like you're hopping over Cuba and you're in Florida, and that's that.
Yeah.
Where do you vacation?
Yeah, it's about 1 hour.
About 1 hour, Nicole? Okay. Because you understand, like when I go on vacation, I go to where you live. But what do you do when you live in the place where people vacation?
You go other places.
Like you guys don't go to the beach?
I guess for my family.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah, for my family, I guess we'd go to our other family, like my grandparents, my aunt and uncles, because I have family in both the US and in Europe. And then also I've been on like school trips to France and Spain because I have French and Spanish class.
Okay.
And we just like, I think Europe is popular and also America because we do have like quite expensive clothing and things here, and people usually save up to go to America just to buy all the clothes and like things that they need instead of in Cayman, because it's usually cheaper to buy as many clothes as you want in America than in Cayman.
So things in general are more expensive on the island?
Yeah. Okay. Prices can be ridiculous here. It's because everything has to be shipped. We don't really like, it's such a small island. We don't really have like the proper soil to actually grow things here, or like we can't really raise livestock. So everything gets imported, like all of our stuff. So you can't really like, you can kind of stop by farmers markets, but it's going to be stuff like you're going to get some fresh coconut water instead of like getting some fresh picked strawberries.
Okay. You know,
we do have a few local things, but it's only like mango, coconuts. I don't know. There's only a few.
The mangoes are really good here, though.
I would imagine they are. Do you think Amaya got bored and left?
I think she's trying to get back.
She's trying to get back on. Okay.
She said she got kicked out.
Not by me. Hold on. I'm going to let her back in. Okay. So, your island is so small that on the analytics for the podcast, it doesn't even, it's not even listed. Like, so that you guys are listening isn't even being counted. Like, at least not. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, it's probably like just us three. I mean, like us three, and then like my mom, and Amaya's mom, and maybe Nicole's parents that listen to the podcast. That's probably it.
Amaya, welcome back. Can you hear me? Did you have to go to the bathroom? What happened?
No, I think it kicked me out. I don't know. Something happened with my internet.
Gotcha. No problem. So do you all three listen to the podcast now?
Yeah.
All right. I want to know how, I'm going to kind of go through everybody, but I really do want to start with Amaya, because you said that your care wasn't really great for the first 4 years or so. What did that mean, like A1C wise? What did that mean, like A1C wise?
In Ecuador, the education wasn't very well. I mean, I didn't know about carb counting. What the doctor basically told us was, so you're going to put like 14 units for breakfast, 14 units for lunch, 14 units for dinner. Doesn't matter what you eat. That's just what you do. And my A1Cs, I don't remember very well what they were, but I think they were around like 10 or 11 for most of the time. And I remember my parents like asking me at school, like at the end of the day, they were like, how are your blood sugars? I'd be like, they were in the 200s and 300s, and they'd just be like, oh, that's not good. And I'm like, I don't know what to do.
So you got a Dexcom first. So then what did you make adjustments then, or were you just looking at it going, oh my God, my blood sugar sucks? Like, what did the Dexcom do for you? Because you didn't have very much education to go with it.
Well, what happened is that I was the only diabetic at my school back then. And then a new family came, and my best friend, her little brother was diabetic. And so that family basically kind of changed my life because they showed us lots of things of diabetes that we didn't know. And then thanks to them, I later went to a conference, and that's where I got my Dexcom. That's where I learned about like carb counting and all this other stuff about diabetes that I had no idea about.
Was that conference on Ecuador?
No, it was in Florida. It was, oh my God, I'm blanking on the name.
Friends for Life.
Yeah, Friends for Life.
You went to Friends for Life. Okay. And then there you learned. So how old were you when that happened, do you think?
I was about 11.
Were you old enough to get there and think, oh my God, we don't know what we're doing? Like, was it weird to like hear everything?
Yeah, like when my best friend, when her mother was like seeing how we were handling, she was like, oh my God, you guys are doing it totally wrong. And then my parents and I were like, we're so clueless. We don't know what's going on. And then we went to the conference and I saw so many people and I was like, wow, look at all this technology. It was one of the first times that I had ever heard of the pump. So I didn't know what that was either.
Right.
And then my parents asked a bunch of people, they're like, should we get the pump or the Dexcom? And then most people say, get Dexcom first because that's like better to have when you're just getting started.
You can just see everything. That's really kind of incredible. Did you feel like it, I guess, how long did it take you to get your blood sugars kind of stabilized? And did you notice feeling different then?
I think I did. I think it took a couple years after I got Dexcom for me to learn how to handle it a bit. And then I like switched a bunch of doctors too. So that helped.
Okay. I just told Arden to add 10 carbs to her last meal. Who's using a loop? Who understands what I just said?
I'm using. Me and Nicole are both looping.
So Arden came from Chinese food into nachos today. She has her period. So we were doing some like major league bolusing coming through the afternoon and everything. And so we had
That's a lot of calculations.
There's a lot of things. But she's like 135 now, and I'm like, ooh, let's fix that. So now, Amaya, how are things? Like, do you know your A1C? How often do you guys go to clinics or doctors and do follow-ups?
About every 3 months, and my last A1C was 6.7.
Wow, that's really good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what do you think the biggest difference is between a 6.7? I can't say in a 10 because I think the biggest difference is you used insulin. So, what really is like if I told you you only could like do one thing a day, like what's the biggest secret, do you think?
I think the biggest secret, and this is kind of what I struggled with going into like middle school and high school, is that I would avoid putting insulin when I went high. Like I'd hear the beeping and I just shut it off and like put it aside because this was back when I was using pens and I didn't want to give myself injections. So then when I got the pump and I started listening to your podcast and I learned about like pre-bolusing and all that stuff, and I was like, okay, I really have to try hard to get my A1C down. So I tried really hard, and I would make sure that I was always looking at my numbers and not being afraid of being both with insulin.
Wow.
And yeah,
that's really cool. Okay, Nicole, you seem like you're going to be the most honest. There's something about like that European side of you where you're like real matter of fact. Am I famous to you?
I mean, I would say yes, because a lot of people around the world have been like really appreciate all of your episodes and how much that you've helped them.
No, I'm not saying. I'm to you. Like, is this weird for you? Like beyond the fact that I'm like an old man and you're not, like other than that, is it weird?
In my opinion, I think it's very cool to have this opportunity.
So whose mom have I been? Whose name is Amy? Amy is whose
My mom.
Okay. She said, like, I think there wasn't confusion, but I think she had it, like the time was a little confused. And so I messaged with her a little bit this week, and she's like, they would be heartbroken if this didn't work out. Would you have been heartbroken if this didn't work out? Or is she just being dramatic?
I probably would have been.
You would have been. Okay. So she was.
Yeah, I probably would have been.
And Amaya would have been. Nicole would have been fine. Nicole, you've got that whole like Eastern Bloc thing going on where you're just like, whatever. If I come, I come. And if I don't, it doesn't really matter to me. I mean,
like
that's not true.
No, I'm just kidding. You're fine.
To me, you're kind of famous.
Okay.
Yeah, Kyla has
Yeah,
been listening to you
same.
for the longest.
The longest?
Yeah. I told like my friends, I was like, yeah, I'm recording a podcast today. They're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. They're like, make sure you mention me.
Well, in fairness to your friends, anything is cool because you're in a very tiny place. Like, what are they? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
It's true.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
new opportunity. It's like a big thing. Everyone knows.
Like if you said you were going to ride a Ferris wheel, they'd be like, "Oh my God, it's like you're going to Mars," because something like that.
Yeah, we don't even have like a theme park here. So one time when there was a theme park that came like during the summer or spring break or something, the whole island knew about it and everybody went. It's like news spreads really fast here.
Yeah. If something happens at like one place, like the rest of the island knows within like I don't know, an hour or two. Everyone knows everything ever.
So like
yeah,
if I
like
said
if
to
there's
you,
a bushfire.
right. So if I was like,
Sorry.
if I was like, hey, like in your mind right now, don't say it out loud, but think of a mom you know is cheating. You know who it is?
I guess so. I mean, we do have, there's a lot of different schools here, and like every single school has its own like gossip, and like everybody knows everything about each other. But you do also know a bunch of people from different schools, and you talk to them too. So like news can spread around through friends or through parents, or like even on Facebook. Like everybody that knows each other on this island has each other on Facebook.
I would imagine.
Yeah. It's like everyone, like I've been to a lot of like sports tournaments, like for basketball, volleyball, like whatever. They like, I walk in and I know like everyone because it's so close. I either know them from like, I know them from just anything, school, doing other activities, or from like youth group at church or whatever it is. Like I just know.
Yeah.
You walk in and you know everyone.
Yeah, I would really imagine. Okay, so are there other type ones there, and you guys are just the three coolest ones, or are you like it?
I remember that when I was diagnosed, my doctor said that there was 24 other diabetics on the like in the entirety of the Cayman Islands. And I would assume that that's increased since then, because that was like 5 years ago, 5-ish. So yeah, but I'm not sure if she meant like including type 2 or just type 1, because to be honest, I'm pretty sure like most of them are actually adults, and like if there are diabetics like around teenage, we would all know each other.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I know like the three of us, there's the three of us that are diabetics that are like
and
kind of in the
other
teenage years. Yeah. And there are a couple other boys that are diabetics. There's one that goes to our school who's, I think, in Nicole's grade. And
yeah.
And so, we don't really know him as well. Like the three of us have kind of become just closer because of different circumstances.
Is there like a head nod or anything? Like when you see him, Nicole, is he like, you and me, we have it? Like when you just walk by, even though you don't know each other, is there sort of like a...
Well, actually, I don't go to the same school yet. I go to a Catholic school, and next year I'll be transferring to the international school.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. What do I want to know? Hold on a second. This is harder when it's three people. I feel less good at this right now than I normally do. Normally I feel, because there's like little roads to go down with each of you, but I don't want to get too far away from any of you. And does that make sense? And plus it feels wrong to go to Kyla because she's super chatty and she'll take over the whole thing. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it probably would.
But we're gonna go to you anyway, though, because I am really interested in how someone your age hears. Like, what's the first episode you heard that made you think, I like this, and what about it did you like?
Fox in the Loop House. That was the first one I heard, and I loved it because it was something I'd never heard of, and I knew like. I was in like 5th grade. I was going into middle school and I was like, I kind of want to like do something different. Because before that, my mom was a teacher. So she didn't have to, like, I could go into her classroom every day before lunch and she would give me insulin. And I was like kind of at that age going into middle school. And I was like, I want to do this on my own because I don't want to be in middle school and then take time to have to go to her room. Like, to me, I was like a younger kid. I was like, that's not cool. That's not something people do.
Right.
And so I didn't want to do that. So I listened to your podcast and I heard about looping, and that was like seemed something that was like independent. And then also I was like, then my mom could give me a bit more independence and she wouldn't have to worry about me. And because like, I didn't want her to worry, and she obviously didn't want to worry either. And I was like, this is really cool because then I can convince her to do something that would help me and help her, and it'd be great. And then also like your podcast was very, it's funny, but also like real. And it's just a good mixture of both. So it's fun to be able to go to, I don't know. It's kind of like talking about diabetes, but not in a way where you're thinking about it all the time. So I liked that part.
It's not like boring and stiff, and like doesn't feel like old people telling you stuff about things that aren't fun. Right. It's like an old person telling you fun things about stuff that's not fun. Now, Nicole, when she comes to you, are you the next one? Does she come to you and go, hey, I found a podcast?
I don't really know who she told first. I guess I kind of just found out because we do meet like so often, despite like all of us not going to the same school, except Amaya and Kyla do, but I don't. So I would have thought that like I only saw them once a month or something. But as time has gone by, we're practically seeing each other like once a week, sometimes twice a week. Right. And like even like around just like out in the open, we run into each other. And like even like a few weeks ago, I remember just finding Amaya with her other friends, and I was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?"
Is it weird when she's with other people who aren't the two of you? Or are you like, I didn't realize you had other friends?
No, I think everybody knows everybody. Like when I met Amaya's friends, and I actually know Kyla's friends through dance. So, we all are just friends.
It's just very, it's super interesting that you guys are like farther apart in age. Do you think if it wasn't for the diabetes, you wouldn't know each other?
Probably not. I think that's kind of, well, me and Amaya, so our parents like work together, but then we also met kind of through babysitting. So we were both babysitting for a school for other teacher kids. And so we met through that, but we kind of had like, I feel like we had a bond because we were both diabetics. And I remember like this one kid asked, he was like, "What's on your leg?" And we were like, "Oh, there's stickers." And he was like, "That doesn't look like a sticker." And we were like, "Yeah, it's stickers for really cool people." And so we made a joke out of it and we became like friends.
So you bonded over mocking a child who couldn't understand that your pod was 3D. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Is it creepy or funny when something kind of sexual or weird comes up on the podcast and you can hear me getting uncomfortable and then I say, I know there are children listening? Amaya, you first. Creepy or funny?
I usually don't think much of it. I just like wave it off and be like, it's just
all right. Nicole,
how it works,
creepy
I guess.
or funny?
I'd say the same thing.
Yeah, you just go by it. All right. So, all right, Kyle, is it creepy or funny?
I mean, I don't know. It's not funny, but I'm with them. Like, it's like, oh, okay. And then I kind of move on.
Do you think
I don't know. I wouldn't. I wouldn't say it's like, I don't know.
It's just not creepy, right? Because
like,
here's why I'm saying. Because this afternoon, my son's like, why is there something on your calendar late tonight? And I said, oh, I was talking about you guys and how we had to do it at a different time than I usually do it. And he goes, you talking to a bunch of 15-year-old girls? And I was like, yeah. He goes, that's weird, man. And I was like, I said, I don't think it is. I think it's going to be fun. And he goes, no, it's pretty weird. And he walked away from me. So I was like, I just wanted to see what you thought. Because it happens. It's a very strange thing for me. You want to hear about me for a second? Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Normally, people make a thing, and it kind of gravitates towards a group. Like, there are not a lot of podcasts that a 13-year-old and a 65-year-old listen to. Do you know what I mean? So the diabetes is like a weird tie together. And, I think most people think that parents of kids listen to the show, but that's not true. Like, I can see who listens. Like, there's as many adults living with type 1 as there is parents. I would say there's probably fewer children, but I interviewed a girl a few days ago. You'll hear it in months from now, but she's like 14. She lives in Russia and she just found the podcast and loves it. And I was talking to her and I'm like, it's so strange to me that you listen to this. I don't know, just because of her age more than anything else, but I guess the topic is binding enough that it really doesn't matter. So if there was does that make sense? Is that right?
Yeah, I would say that the one good thing about diabetes is it has brought people together. And I wouldn't have met Amaya if she wouldn't have seen my Freestyle Libre on my arm, and she wouldn't have said, oh, is that what I think it is? Are you diabetic? And then I wouldn't have met Kyla. And all of this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. And I went to a diabetes camp,
right,
and it's the same thing. There are all these people that I'm really close friends with now, but I would never have met them otherwise because we live in different parts of the world. I live on this tiny little island and they're living up in I don't know, different places across the US.
Right. Now, I mean, Arden's friends seem to like me, but I can't tell. And she's only got she's got a pretty tight friend group. This is interesting. Are you guys in other friend groups that don't include the other two?
Yeah.
Are any
especially for me since I'm in a different school.
Yeah.
Are any of you in a friend group with one of the other of the three of you that doesn't include the third one? No? I'm trying to get you into a fight.
Not really.
No, nothing.
Well, Nicole and Amaya they're closer in age, so they have friends that are
oh yeah,
in their grade. I'm the youngest one, so all of my friends are fellow 7th graders.
Well, you're incredidly mature, for for being 13. You don't seem any different than. Are you guys in a text chat, just a group chat, just the three of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We text on
the dead pancreas.
Yeah.
Some people are going to hear that and say that your pancreas has other function. It's not dead. It's just not making.
I don't care. That's the name of it.
I just listen, don't shit the name of our group, all right?
Yeah, we found it on Pinterest because one of our favorite things to do together is actually paint Omnipods because we've actually found that we get these small brushes and we've gotten so good at painting whatever we want on Omnipods. That's the thing about Omnipods because they have such a blank canvas and they don't have tubes. And we were why don't we just paint on them? And so that's what happened. Yeah. And we found Dead Pancreas Gang on Pinterest. We were we should make that the name of our WhatsApp group.
I think it's possible that I'm contractually obligated to remind you that it's not okay to paint the Omnipods. But between you and I, don't worry about it. I think you're okay. I think the FDA says you're not supposed to or something like that. Did you ever get suntan?
Oh, well.
Did you ever notice if you can get, there's suntan lotion kind of cracks the plastic? You have to be careful about that.
Oh, so what we do is we have this sealant so that it's basically just another layer of plastic-ish. So it's kind of sealing it with glue that dries out and it's waterproof and everything's fine. Kyla's had the insulin pump for the longest and she's also painted it for the longest and nothing related to the paint has gone wrong. It's always just it running out of insulin or something normal, you know?
Nicole, did you notice when you started talking about Pinterest that Kyla laughed like you guys were 45-year-old single ladies with cats? And she was embarrassed.
We do share the common interests.
She laughed really hard, like, please don't tell people we're on Pinterest. It's pretty funny. All right, if I said right now, who's the cutest boy in school, does the same kid pop into your heads? Or is it age thing?
I think
probably
it's an age
not.
thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, how about this? Is there a
I mean,
kid?
I
Is there
have,
a
like-
kid? Good.
Well, like I have like, you know, a 13-year-old perspective, which is different from like a 17-year-old. So it's gonna be
What if I said who's the biggest jerk at school? Does that
we could think of like
a lot of them? How many could there be? I mean, there's like
No,
60,000
no,
people
like-
on the whole island.
I don't know. We know what like that one's not as like age specific.
No, so there's a lot. You're just flooding your head with people that are not desirable for your situation. All right. What is it? What's a day like that doesn't include school? Like, you're not at the beach constantly, right? Is that where like visitors go, or do you guys go there too?
No, people
All the
hang out.
beaches are public.
But do
Yeah,
you like
people hang
doing
out
it?
on the beach a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like if you go to a birthday party, it's like pretty likely they're gonna say like, "Oh, we'll just hang out on the beach," or sometimes they'll go to like a hotel restaurant because, which that sounds kind of weird, but all the like the really nice hotels here, they have kind of like a beach like area where they have cabanas that you can rent out, so people will rent out a cabana for their birthday party or whatever, and it's like normal.
Do you guys need to drive?
And
or
like
is everything...
another example.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Nicole.
Pardon?
No, let Nicole go.
I'm sorry. I was thinking like another example is that everybody knows like the same cinema. We all go to this one cinema in
It's
this
the only one.
it's this place called Camana Bay, and they have like stores there, restaurants. Like people usually go on Saturday and walk around and then see movies, and yeah, you see all your friends around.
Yeah.
There's no COVID on your island, right?
No.
And there
No.
hasn't been?
I think we had 101 cases.
Would you guys just push those
In
people into
total.
the water? You're just like, get out of here. Just shove them into the ocean?
We made them if you had COVID, you tested positive, then you had to be in quarantine for 14 days. And if you come into our island, you have to be in quarantine for 14 days before you even tested, and you're tested on the 15th day. And like there's a pretty big, like it was all over the news. This one girl broke quarantine, and it was all over the US news because that never happened. And she was fined tens of thousands of dollars and put in prison. And it was a big deal because we're COVID free, right? And if someone gets it, they spread it to everyone else, and we kind of broke.
So
Yeah, it
it's,
was pretty serious because the way it came here was an Italian man came on a cruise ship, and that's how it all started spreading because he went to the hospital. Unfortunately, he passed away, and then all the doctors got it, and then it spread to the population. But thankfully, it's like pretty much gone for now.
I wish you didn't tell me that he passed away because you ruined my joke that I was going to say.
Oh.
I'm going to say it anyway. Most of your problems, girls, are going to start with an Italian guy, just so you know. Okay? So seriously. Like any story that starts with I met an Italian guy or I met a guy, let's be perfectly honest, is going to end with and I was crying at the end. So just be very careful. Okay? Did your parents tell you not to? Oh my God, they turned the lights off on Amaya.
No, I know here. I'm gonna.
Oh, I think they're
They're like
automatic.
automatic. So.
They're automatic.
Yeah.
Wave your hands around. See
Yeah.
what happens. Amaya,
I'm
put your
walking
hands
over
over
to
here.
turn it off.
Okay.
Seriously.
Okay.
Wait,
Yeah, my dad turned it on.
Kyla's moving. Kyla, show me outside. Is it
Oh,
like? Is it
here.
like the nicest?
Oh, the sun sets at like
taking
6, so it's already dark outside.
Forget it then.
Yeah, look, this is.
That's my lights.
Is everybody hoping she trips like me, or am I the only one thinking this?
Can't see any of that.
Running around with their laptop. Even, yeah, it still looks nicer than where I am. Thank you.
Yeah.
So is it, what I was going to ask earlier is the lack of places to go, does it feel limiting living there, or it probably doesn't, but I'm just asking because like I'm trying to imagine back to when I was your guys' age, like before I could drive. Like, Amaya, can you drive?
Technically, I could get my learner's permit, and I'm trying to convince my parents to let me get that.
Why won't they let you get your
But
permit?
I'm of age to learn how to drive.
Oh, so you could. So like before I could drive, I didn't go very far. I went wherever I could walk to, or if like somebody's mom, like you guys live in a time where like parents are nice to kids, but when I was young, it didn't work that way. Like no one I knew's parents ever drove us anywhere. Like that was just like we were ignored basically like a homeless cat. Okay. Like they just like we'd go to school, come home, fend for ourselves for food, get yelled at a little bit, and then go to bed. Like that was life basically in the 80s for me and most other people. But like now, like I see my daughter's like friends' parents will come pick them up and take them. So I'm like, why is everybody so nice? But they're very nice now. So you can get around like that. But other than that, you're kind of stuck too to where you can walk to and what you can do. So it doesn't matter, I guess, if your world's 29 miles long or 4,000 miles long, right? There's only so far you can go to begin with. Or am I wrong?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there really isn't like a place on this island that I haven't been. I've lived here. I think I already mentioned I've lived here for 8 years. So I've seen a lot of change. There have been things built, but like we don't really have, there aren't really like things really to do except for like the classic, like you can go to the turtle farm or you can go see the stingrays or play with the dolphins or like go to the beach. Like those are island things, but we don't really like you can't go to the mall on the weekend. That doesn't exist here.
Right. And if you
because
go to
we don't have malls.
If you go to a movie, you're all seeing the same movie. It doesn't matter what you want to see.
Yeah.
Right.
And we'll get everything like 2 weeks later.
Oh, like so.
Pardon?
Do you get like the big stuff? Do you get like Endgame came there, stuff like that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was very popular.
Yeah. We just get it late. We get it later than like the US.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by the time you're watching it, you're like, Robert Downey is going to die. And you've heard it by then? Or
like, yeah, one of my teachers actually saw it in the US before she came here. And she was like, if you guys don't shut up, I'm going to spoil Endgame for you.
Arden came like, she was like banging through the house the other day. She was so mad. Something in WandaVision, one of her friends put on Instagram, like before she's like, I can't watch it this early in the day. She was I was like, why are you on the internet? She's like, I don't know. And I said, so she was very upset. I was like, oh my God. But she was very upset that somebody ruined it for her. So do you guys all use the same kind of insulin or do you use different ones?
No. I use Humalog. That's just what they had. I was diagnosed in California, and that's just what they had.
They gave you. And Nicole, what about you?
So at the hospital, they had like Novolog and NovaRapid. So I used those, especially after because my cousin is also diabetic. Me and my dad were my dad's brother and him were on the phone for probably a whole day right after I got diagnosed, just talking and talking. Mm-hmm. And he was like, yeah, my son uses NovaRapid. So he was like, okay, we'll try NovaRapid. So that's how it all played out.
And Amaya, how about you? What do you use?
Well, when I was first diagnosed, they put me with Apidra and Lantus. And then there was a time, I think it was 2 years after I was diagnosed or something like that, where we couldn't actually find those insulins. So that's the first time that we got Humalog. Mm-hmm. And then when we came to the island, I don't think they have Apidra here. So we just stuck with Humalog.
Okay. I was wondering if there's one thing that's more readily available. But anyway, how about other diabetes in your family, other type 1 or other endocrine issues? How about you guys first? Does anybody have hypothyroidism?
No.
Nothing like that?
I have a little bit.
You got
I have an interesting story with that.
Good. Amaya, I want to hear any story that starts with, I got a little hypothyroidism.
We have a lot of crazy stories.
Because I don't think that's how it works, but go ahead. By the way, there's no way we're finishing this in an hour, so let's just keep talking. Amaya, what do you got? What about that?
So I'm not sure how many years ago this was, but my doctor, I guess yeah, I don't know. We did blood tests or something, and she was like, "Oh, you have hypothyroidism, so now you have to take this medication." I was like, "Okay." So I started doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got here, and my doctor did more blood tests when we first arrived to the island. And then she was like, "You don't have it." So she said, "You were taking that medication when you didn't really need to," because apparently it's a bit like on the low side, but it's not enough for me to be medicated. So the medication that I had was kind of useless before.
Okay. So Maya, I want you to make sure you hear that episode about thyroid disease, okay? Because the doctor that's on it, she's going to talk about how some of the testing levels, what they call in range, it doesn't matter if you have symptoms. So if you have hypothyroid symptoms, but your tests are technically in range, that doesn't matter. You should still take the medication. So
yeah,
right? Do you have
Here's
any
the thing. I never actually had symptoms.
Oh, they just
like I didn't feel anything.
Gotcha. So if you ever do though, if you ever feel tired or, stuff like that, your hair starts falling out or, start looking in weird directions, which is not a symptom of hypothyroidism. But like if you ever start getting thyroid symptoms, don't let just the numbers dictate it. Always make sure they treat your symptoms. Okay. How about in the family? Does anybody have type 1 in their family?
Yeah.
Nicole, so you have a cousin?
I have an older cousin. We've actually always just known he's been diabetic because we lived across the street from him in Pennsylvania, where I'm from. And he was like very, very close best friends with my older brother, Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
And they always like came across the street to our house to play video games. And as a toddler, I just went in there and like I got to know him, and he's always been really close to us. And so when I got diabetes, we were like, oh my gosh, we should talk to them. We were all like, just like back and forth texting, like, right. What should we do? What should we do? She's going low.
They're trying to help you. Was it any help?
Yeah.
Because some people manage in such like vastly different ways that sometimes one person's help, you would just be like imagine if Amaya tried to help you 5 or 6 years ago, you'd be like, wait, what? Just take 14 units and have dinner? That's it? You'd be like, no, I don't think that's right. By the way, we'll bleep all this out, Nicole, but where in Pennsylvania?
I was born in hospital. Yeah.
Kyla,
are you laughing because
No, we had a conversation before before we did this. We were talking about like where we're from, and we all know, but and then she was like, I was born in, and then she like we went in. It was
Nicole, were you born in a manger by any chance, or anything like that, or nothing like that?
No,
nobody brought you
completely natural
frankincense or myrrh or anything like that. I lived very close to there most of my life. Because I'm from Pennsylvania too. I'm from right outside of Philadelphia.
Oh, cool.
So
I would go to the mall there.
You would go to the mall there. Did you go to Franklin Mills Mall?
Yeah.
Did you? Really?
I mean, I was really little, but I have the photos.
I have wait a minute. You took pictures of the mall like it was exciting?
No, like, when there's like the little things you put pennies in and then you ride them as a little kid and then your parents take photos and they're like,
am I not supposed to be riding them still? What are you saying?
I'm
not supposed to be riding those things anymore? Is that what you're getting at?
I mean, it's your choice. It's a free country.
It's a free country. Well, we'll see. All right, so you just said a second ago, we have a ton of stories. So if I said to each of you, tell me your weirdest story that's diabetes related. Like, Kyla, you go first. What would it be?
Or
is that all hyperbole? Good.
No, well, one time Amaya texted us at like 2 a.m. and it was like complete gibberish. It was nothing. And then we were all like, what does this mean? And Nicole texted in the morning. She was like, what were you trying to say? And Amaya was like, I don't remember texting you. And she was like, oh, at 2 a.m. I was low. And she texted us without knowing. It was like, the recommended words at the top?
Yeah.
It was like she had clicked them and it was like this gibberish. It was great.
Amaya, do you remember anything about this except the next day?
Yeah, I remember. Okay, I remember picking up my phone when I was low. I was really low. I don't know what happened that day. I was really low. I remember picking it up, but I don't actually remember texting. And then I remember waking up for school in the morning. And I looked at my text and I was like, what the heck? When did I send it? And then I looked at the time. It was like 2:00 in the morning. And then Nicole and Kathy were like, what? And I was like, oh, shoot, guys. I was low. I'm sorry.
A lady told me the other day that she calculated her kids' carbs, then typed them into her microwave.
That's great.
Which I thought was very funny. She's like, wait a minute. All right. So Amaya has drunk texted, although I imagine she doesn't drink. No, nobody's drinking, right? Like,
no,
we're all being reasonable people, acting our age and everything. Okay.
The drinking age here, though, it is 18.
Of course it is.
Driving and drinking age is 18.
You live on a party. Do you understand?
I mean, we live on an island where they have a Tortuga rum factory. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Rum cake is their specialty, and all the tourists come and get it. Yeah.
Do they make the rum right on the island?
I think so.
Some of it gets made here, and some is imported from Jamaica.
Gotcha. You are very close to Jamaica, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The alcohol is free of duty on planes. Yeah.
Like it would ruin the economy of Cayman Islands if they taxed you for the alcohol. Right. I got
it. Yeah.
I see. Is anyone looking forward to drinking, or do you think you won't?
Not really.
I don't think so. I would drink responsibly if I ever do decide to, because, diabetes and drinking don't mix.
I have to ask this, even though you guys are all underage, but your mom said it was okay that I talked to you, so this is her fault, really. Is weed more popular with kids now than drinking?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I'm not copping to anything. I've never even heard of weed. I don't know what you're saying right now.
I think, I don't know. Well, again, from my viewpoint as a 13-year-old, yes, because I think this is going to sound kind of weird, but I think it's a bit more easily accessible to a younger kid than alcohol would be. Which I don't think that's how it should be, but I think it's easier for a kid to get.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if I gave you $20 right now and I said, go buy weed or alcohol, and you'll win money if you bring back one of them, you'd be like, I could get weed easier.
Not necessarily. Okay. Not necessarily me, but some people, because our island's so small, people have connections. All right. So it's
there's a guy.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, very smart to say not necessarily me. You don't have to answer every question like that. I'm not assuming that you guys are baked all the time. You look like very reasonable kids, okay? But I'm just asking from a general perspective if that's the vibe. It's do people smoke before they drink?
I think so.
Yeah, I would say vape is very much more common than regular cigarettes for the youth here because a lot of young adults do make a business of it here and sell it, and they get away with it. So,
and also,
at my own school, there has been instances of my classmates vaping in the restrooms, and
but they also have our island's pretty safe in general, so nothing I don't think here is really a big problem. And at schools, they have smoke detectors that can detect vapes and weed and stuff like that. And there are definitely people, because our island's so small, you can make connections, go to the same guy. If you're a teenage kid, you can have them buy you stuff, but it's not as common because our island is because our island's also so small. If you do any of these things, someone's going to
everybody
find
will know.
Everyone will know.
It's hard to keep a secret.
But but the thing is the crime rate is actually pretty low compared to other islands.
Yeah, they're all scared of Amaya's dad.
Yeah.
The biggest problem here is probably the amount of car crashes there are every day, honestly, because everybody here drives a car, maybe 2 cars per family or something. And like on the way to school, you may see a car crash every day, and like people just aren't really good drivers
so
here.
The roads are overflowing with cars, not a lot of space.
Yeah.
And where do you are there any highways on the island?
No.
There are ish.
Well,
like I wouldn't call them highways compared to America, but we call them highways.
See,
that's
we
a good
have
way to put it.
4-lane roads, but that's the max. 4 lane.
4 lanes.
Yeah,
Two
like
lanes.
they just put in like on some of these like really common streets. Like when I first got here, they were like one road each way. Like it's just like certain things have like just been put in because our island's growing, and
Like Kyla, when you fly back to California, do you go into LAX? Where do you fly into?
Yeah.
So you know what
we usually fly into. Pardon?
No, I was going to say you know what the highways look like around LA then. Okay.
I lived probably like an hour away from LA, so it was like I'm definitely used to like the LA area and stuff.
Okay.
Go
ahead. Do you have something?
Like there has been like so many changes since like the last few years. Like I know since being here like my whole life in the district called West Bay, there's still some roads that like barely a single car can fit through, like into neighborhoods, and like you can only go like one way. You gotta wait for the other car to get out of your way.
Yeah.
But now there's like highways that are pretty big for Caymanians, and like it's getting pretty industrialized here pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You know, I was just thinking as I was looking at Amaya while Nicole was talking, that my son said, my wife's like, is this going to work having 3 voices? And I was like, it'll work because one person will talk more, one person will take a while to warm up, and a third person will just sit back. And it's so interesting to see that exactly. Like Amaya, are you comfortable with your level of involvement? Or are you just like, these girls will not shut up, so I have to be quiet? Like, which is it?
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Nicole talk too much.
Nicole's really come on in the last 10 minutes. She's just like, she's warmed up now.
When I get to know people, I just do that.
Yeah, you're not nervous anymore. Kyla hasn't been nervous since she was 6. And and I want to make sure that Amaya's not just scared that her Zoom's going to kick her off again if she talks. I'm not sure what she's worried about. But so do you guys help?
Well,
go ahead.
I'm used to Nicole and Kyla are pretty crazy, I'd say so myself. And so I knew that this was going to be a Zoom call, and like technology always doesn't work very well. So I knew that they were going to talk over each other. So I just knew in my head that I could just quiet down and that they'd be fine.
Do you guys? Go ahead. What else?
We also went over the fact before this that Amaya was introverted, I was extroverted, and Nicole's in between. So
I'm like an ambivert.
Yeah, you're like Nicole's right where like people hope their kids are, and then
I'm like over involved, over excited, over like in your face. Probably.
Kyla, do you ever notice your parents looking at you thinking like, and they have a look on their face like, oh my God, she's not going to stop? Like, or do you think it's not?
I mean, like my family, we're pretty talkative.
Yeah.
Like,
are you chatty in general? Because I'm super chatty, but my wife and my son aren't. And Arden is when she's like feeling it, but Arden's also like when she's quiet, she's quiet. But I talk constantly. Yeah,
like my mom, I would say she's probably a bit more chatty than like my dad. Like if she sees someone she knows, it's going to be like a while before you leave. And like,
that's a very polite way of putting it.
But yeah, my dad's like chatty, but he's not as like chatty as my mom. And my eldest brother, he's a senior. He's the quieter one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a brother in 9th grade.
Do you ever think maybe your brother doesn't have a chance? Maybe he's like Maya. He's just like, I'm never going to be able to talk.
When he was like younger, he was in like 5th grade. He was like so talkative, like more talkative than me, which is hard to believe.
I know why you like the podcast. Because you were probably like, oh my God, this guy talks more than I do. That's amazing. Do you guys help each other with your blood sugars ever? Like, do you ever get stuck on something and ask the other one?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, like just recently I only started Loop and Kyla helped me through it all pretty much. And Amaya's gonna start pretty soon and yeah, we can both help her.
But like,
Hopefully, I'm trying to convince my parents to like let me
Yeah.
buy everything because
Yeah.
they're not very convinced, and I'm trying to convince them.
Well, I think Omnipod 5 is going to be out pretty soon. So you'll be able to get an algorithm right from Omnipod pretty soon.
Yeah.
So I think there's that. If your parents are scared of the whole do-it-yourself thing, which I would understand, but if they were, then I think you're going to be able to get one from Omnipod pretty soon. I mean, it's March now. I don't know anything officially. I really don't. Like, no one's told me a real date. Although, if I'm being honest, I know a lot more than I'm allowed to say. Like, I've signed a lot of non-disclosure agreements with a lot of different companies. But but I would say Omnipod 5 is going to be out pretty soon. So maybe you can try that, you know. But like, I mean, is it that easy? Like, when you guys are together, do you ever like hold up food and go, like, how many carbs is this?
Sometimes. Like when we go over to each other's houses, which like as Nicole said, it's like almost every week. We hang out every weekend and then we see each other at orchestra, but we'll like one of the moms will say like, oh, you know, it's 50 carbs or whatever, and then she'll like tell us to pre-bolus and we all do it together, which is kind of fun. But our carb ratios are so different that it's like
They are. Okay, so hold on. Let me see if I can figure these out. All right. So Maya's 17. How tall are you?
I am like 5'4".
5'4".
I'm actually shorter than Nicole.
I was gonna say Nicole's.
I'm the tallest.
Right?
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're 5'4". Nicole, you're like. I mean, are you like?
No, I'm not really tall, but I mean, I'm 5'7", 5'8". I don't really know exactly.
Okay. And Kyla, you're like 5'2", 5'3". How tall are
I'm
you?
like 5'3", yeah.
5'3". Okay. So Nicole, I'm going to start with you. What's your basal rate? Like 1.2 an hour ish, right in there. 1.2.
No, actually, my highest is like 0.95.
You're like a 0.95. Okay. Gotcha. And how about Amaya? What's your highest basal rate?
I think it's 0.9 right now.
Do you guys, are you ready to talk about this? You're going to be able to do this? Did they fluctuate around your periods and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'd say I need more in my periods.
You need more? Okay. Is it
I
just...
haven't started my period yet.
Look at you. Look at her bragging, right? She's like, I don't have to be bothered with that.
Yeah, we're all like, you're
I'm
so
all
lucky.
good.
You're so lucky you don't have to go through this.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like holding out as long as I can. I feel like I'm on borrowed time.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's up to you exactly, but I hear what you're saying. Like, you're holding out as long as you can. But you just say no when you notice it. Like, what is the?
No, I'm just like crossing my fingers.
I see. You're hoping. Do you see what they're going through? What the other two are going through, and you're like, oh, that's going to happen.
Yeah. And I also know like just from like relatives and like I know I'm gonna like I know what I'm gonna get probably like headaches and I won't so much get the nauseous thing, but like and so I have a feeling okay, I also wear like I'm wearing a contact now and that gives me a headache, and then when I get a headache it messes with my blood sugar, and so it's kind of whack.
Wow.
So I'm nervous for that.
Yeah. Today, Arden asked me, she put my hand on her stomach and she's like, now push. And I was like, okay. She's like, push a little more, hold it right there. And I went, okay. And she's like, So it doesn't look fun to be a girl is what I'm saying from the outside.
Yeah.
But Kyla, when you look at the other two and you see that they have other challenges with their insulin around that, do you see patterns? Like, are you around them enough to notice, or
kind of?
not? Yeah.
I mean, not anything really like their mood. Like they don't really like change, but
well, not to you.
I know like
Not to you.
No.
They're very mean. They're very mean to their parents, probably, right?
Only to our parents, they do.
Yeah. But I noticed both of their blood sugars, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they both go kind of higher, and you need different base rates and stuff. So
Right. So you just have to be more aggressive, girls, then at that time with boluses and stuff?
Yeah, and I find that like pre-bolusing might need more time sometimes depending on the food. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maya?
Yeah, I pretty much agree. Like my whole my basal schedule changes completely when I'm on my period and stuff.
And it's really crazy, but it's you have to just make yourself okay with it and just go with it. I see too many people who are they're bothered by it all the time instead of just saying like, this is how it works. And let me just be okay with it. Do you think that you guys have a different view of diabetes because you were born in a time with technology and like open conversation?
For sure.
Yeah. How do you think that'll be different for you as you're getting older?
Well, I know like when I was diagnosed, I got a CGM like 3 months after I was diagnosed. So that was that's really different from like a lot of people. That's not necessarily normal. I was diagnosed in the summer. And then by October break, I had a CGM and I had a pump by the next summer. So that is like, I know that isn't necessarily normal. And so I'm always kind of like up on I want to be up on the new technology and stuff. So I got for Omnipod, when Omnipod Loop came out, I got it really soon afterwards because I had listened to your podcast and I really wanted to do it because, it helps a lot.
I just want to be clear to people. You're using the do-it-yourself loop algorithm, right?
Yes.
Okay. My favorite part of this hour, there's a lot of things I'm enjoying, and it's like an hour and a half now. But my favorite thing is that when a question gets asked, Amaya gets a look on her face like, I'm not going to get to answer this. But she has an answer.
Because I'm not looping, so I don't know.
That's not why. And Nicole has like a bit of a governor on her. Like she stops for a second, but I think there's nothing that you couldn't pose as a question that Kyla would not have an answer for in like a split second. Like if I was just like really quick, like what's the best Backstreet Boy? Like she has an answer already. Who is it? No? Okay. Then that's because I picked an older band.
Well, she is more into the Beatles.
Yeah, I'm like a diehard Beatles fan.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I am too. How did that happen? What happens? Do your parents get you into it?
No, my brother, my eldest brother, Jake, he went through a phase of like rock. So, he plays like 4 instruments or something and he's really musical and he went through this like rock phase and then, and he introduced me to, the Beatles, and then I became obsessed. Actually,
what is that? Oh, you have the Beatles right on your water bottle.
The Beatles on my water bottle.
Do you like the more poppy Beatles stuff or the more rock and roll stuff?
I like all of it.
Fool on a Hill or Can't Buy Me Love?
Pardon?
Fool on a Hill or Can't Buy Me Love?
Ooh, that's hard.
I went really old kind of feeling with Fool on a Hill to see what you would say.
Oh, that's hard.
Right. Okay.
I don't know. Like for that specific song, I would say Can't Buy Me Love, but I'm also a big fan of like some of their older songs, like Twist and Shout is one of their older songs as well. Yeah. And I love that song.
Cool. That's excellent. Nicole, what kind of music do you like?
I also do like the Beatles, but I also recently got into BTS. It's a Korean pop band.
I know,
and me and Amaya are obsessed with it.
Yeah. Amaya's like not just obsessed, she's giggling. I was gonna ask,
she's known them for way longer.
Amaya, is that the best music that exists?
What?
Is that the best that exists, BTS?
According to me, probably, yeah.
You don't give a shit.
I've been listening to them for a long time, and I'm very obsessed. And then Nicole all of a sudden got into it, so I'm like, "Yay! Now we can obsess about it together."
Do you like the Beatles too, or no?
A little bit.
Amaya, I'm figuring Amaya for not liking the Beatles a whole lot. I'm right?
Oh my god, the lights just turned off. Well, I do like the Beatles, too. But I don't know all their songs the way Kyla does.
I'm going to make a bet with you guys right now. I won't be alive to collect on the bet. But when you're all 50, you'll still know Beatles music. It'll still be in your life, but you won't remember what BTS was. That's my thought. Are your parents like giving you like, hey, what's going on situation now?
No, it was the lights.
Yeah, because the lights they're not turning on.
I understand.
Okay. There they are.
Now Nicole's wandering around. And I have the same feeling I had when Kyla walked around. I was like, oh, I wonder if she'll fall. Like, I imagine you guys would just like, Kyla would laugh even if she fell. But I think if Nicole fell,
I would definitely.
Yeah.
If Nicole fell, she'd probably die and fall right off her chair. Like, she'd be so
I would like run over there though. The rooms are like right here. It's just a doorway.
And I feel like even if she fell, Amaya would still feel like, oh my God, I'm never going to get to talk while we're doing this.
Yeah. Like Kyla's like right over there. And there's like a door that connects me to her.
So you guys are in your school right now? Like, did you break in to do this or because
No. So since my dad is the principal, he like has the key and he has an office there. So it's kind of like, and this is like my second home. So I don't really feel wrong being here.
I gotcha. So all right. So your mom was like, the girls need a place with Wi-Fi to do this thing. And I was like, whatever. Okay. Like something like that.
She was kind of like, they're doing it in the new high school. And he was like, that's fine.
Okay, I don't want to hear anybody talk anymore. So I'm just going to say yes to this. Okay. I'm going to go to Amaya. Amaya, is there, if there's one thing that you wanted to definitely talk about while you were on today, but we haven't talked about it yet, what would it be?
That's hard. I think we've mostly talked about everything that I had in mind. And I didn't really have anything planned out, but I think we've talked about everything.
Good. I didn't plan anything either. Like there was a part of me where was like, I wonder how this is going to go. Like I was like, could you imagine if you guys were just like giggling and I was just sitting here going, oh my God, I don't know why I did this. But you were really, you guys were terrific. All right, so how about
Isn't that how you feel?
No, I feel good about this. Are you kidding me?
Good.
I'm almost 16 in my head, so this is perfect for me. I would have abandoned the diabetes stuff a long time ago, and we'd be talking about whether or not it's appropriate to watch the Marvel movies in chronological order, in movie order by now. So, Nicole, how about you?
Maya and Nicole can answer that one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. We've watched all of the movies.
Do you guys love the Tom Holland boy like my daughter does?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
We think he's the best Spider-Man.
It's the one time. That's the one time Amaya didn't wait to be polite to talk. She was like, yes, 100%. It's the Tom Holland kid. But his other movies, let's be honest, they suck, right? He's just Spider-Man. Like, you didn't watch Cherry or anything like that, right?
I don't know. I don't think I've watched his other movies.
I see what you're saying. Nicole, is there anything we didn't talk about that you hope we would talk about?
No, we covered a lot.
Amazing. I know.
It was great.
You had a good time.
Like
right.
Anything is, yeah.
Kyla, if I said you and I were going to talk for 2 more hours, would that be okay?
I could probably do it.
I think you could too. I think you absolutely could too. Like, come on, like Amaya's like, all right, I can go now. This was fun. And then even Nicole's like, she's like, I got excited and I talked for a while, but it's pretty much over. But right now, like, I could get like a topic list from Kyla, and I think she would talk forever. Which, by the way, I'm not making fun of you because I could do it too. I'm just sitting here the whole time. Arden made sugar cookies, and I am just waiting to get done to eat my sugar cookie. Like, I'm like, I've been looking at it the whole time. She's really good at making them. They're like fluffy, crunchy on the outside and soft on the inside, etc. I don't know.
Yeah, we love to bake together.
Yeah,
we also make sugar cookies and things.
No kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
One time I did.
What?
Well, no, one time we tried to make these cookies and I didn't put in enough flour. And they were like this weird mush. And it was the grossest thing. It was like,
okay, it hasn't happened since then.
You guys figured it out?
Yeah.
When I make them, they end up really like flat. I'm not good at making them, but Arden just makes them. Like, they're amazing. I don't know how she does it. I told her to tell me, but she said she wasn't going to. Do you guys care that she might be on the podcast at some point? Like, is that something as listeners that you're like, oh, I hope she does this?
Yeah.
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 Okay. I told her earlier, I was like, I bet you if you just popped on and said, my dad can't do this tonight, I'm going to do it instead. I was like, I bet you they would like that. And she can't imagine that. Like, she doesn't understand Like, do you know what I mean? Like that, who she
Yeah.
is a weird thing for her probably. So,
Yeah.
so that's a good question, I guess. If I was your father, would you be bothered that there was a podcast about you?
I mean,
I think
if
Amaya,
I would listen to it.
I think Amaya cares, but I want to hear what Nicole says first. Go ahead.
if I were to listen to it a lot and like hear the stories from other diabetics and people like you've talked to as well, I would kind of want in on it. Like I'd want to talk to people like that too, I guess.
I don't think Arden, beyond the fact that she knows I do this, I don't believe she's ever heard it before. It's a weird thing when you're actually in the middle of it. Like I'm excited that she's going to come on because I don't even know how it's going to go.
She should listen to this one as her first.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'll tell her that, and she'll be like, "Leave me alone," and that'll be the end of it. I think if it was the same, it would be the same. You'd be like, "I'm not listening to my dad's podcast." Like it would seem weird, because I mean, honestly, I'm almost like a senior citizen. I'm very close to like collecting like that. Like start getting a check from the government every month, and so think about it this way: do you listen to other podcasts?
I wouldn't say so. No.
It's a thing that misses people your age, really, right? Like you watch a ton of like YouTube videos, right? Not even.
Yeah.
Oh, mine's like I do. Yeah, it's like where I'm
maybe like Netflix more.
Netflix. How about TikTok? Do you guys?
No
TikTok. I'm glad. I don't.
Not really.
Uh,
You kind of see them like on other social media, and then it gets kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really big on like social media or anything.
To begin with.
This sounds super geeky, but I'd rather like read Harry Potter.
It doesn't sound geeky. That sounds great. I'm happy that you would rather do something like that. It's just very interesting the three of you met each other because you seem very close, and your interests are lined up, I think, well beyond diabetes, it seems like. It's just it's very neat that you guys found each other like this. If another person with diabetes popped up, what would they have to be allowed in the group?
I don't know, just be themselves, get to know us.
Don't say the right thing, Nicole. Like, just tell me, like, is there a kind of person you wouldn't let in where you'd be like,
I don't know.
Would it have to be a girl?
Okay,
not necessarily.
I get, I mean, like, I don't know. I think it would be weird if it was a guy because we're like, that's kind of weird.
That was the first time your ages popped up because Kylie was like, no boys. And Amaya's like, I don't know, maybe a boy. So,
well, I feel like our like ages would play a factor in that because we're so different in age that like we would take it different ways.
Right. No, I think so too. I was just wondering. But so it's possible that another cool kid could come along with diabetes and be allowed into the gang.
I mean, sure.
Yeah, of course.
As long as they can measure.
Like,
I don't know. I feel like I'd be very picky about it.
Yeah, like as long as they're nice, like if they want to be our friends, then we can be theirs.
Yeah. Nicole's very nice. Maya's like, I don't know. There's rules. And,
I feel like we're already super close that for someone to like kind of jump in, it would feel like almost like
there'd be like an awkward
jumps in the middle of the movie. It's different.
I watched
Arden,
I watched Arden's tight friend group bring in a new person. It took a long time to like integrate her in to where it felt very, very, very normal. But you still know that she's the kid that came into the group last. You can see it somehow when they're together. It's very interesting. I think you guys should keep it to 3. I like this the way it is. Seriously.
I mean, I don't. Our island's so small. I don't think.
Wouldn't it be great if I got a vote? Like if you met another girl with diabetes, and you're like, Scott gets to break the tie here. Like if Nicole's a yes, Amaya's a no, Kayla's a yes. Then I'll have to see what Scott says first. That'd be amazing if you gave me that kind of thing. I don't think you're going to let me have any real control over your life. Okay, so do I want to come there to vacation?
Yes.
Is it incredibly expensive?
When you can. Yeah.
Is it expensive?
Yeah.
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 Like, it's expensive.
It's expensive.
Like I gotta save out some coin.
Pardon?
I gotta save some real money up to get there.
I wouldn't necessarily say like you're gonna have to save up a ton of money, but like our island, just for like some perspective, I guess, it's ranked always next to like Switzerland.
Oh, really?
Or like just above Switzerland. So yeah.
Are you girls like rich and I don't realize it? What's going on here?
No, I mean,
Nicole's like, we're not.
Really.
I would say like, sorry, you go.
No, go ahead.
I guess the wages here are probably also different because like depending on how much you get paid is probably how expensive things are, and like it differs. And also like people don't really like immediately go to buy clothes here. It's usually like, oh, you want to go to get like lobster at this restaurant instead of just go to get pasta or something, because like food is a lot more of like, I want to spend money on food instead of like clothing, where you could just go to America or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's
and also,
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say our island's also a tax haven. We don't have taxes here. So that kind of contributes to the richer, I guess, general population.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that, which is why I teased Amaya about her dad being a gun runner.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, earlier, that is what I was saying, is that, and she hasn't denied it yet. Have you noticed? Do you guys worry? Is it really funny because is her dad like this very nice man and you're just like, this has got nothing to do with who he is? Or
he's super nice.
He's super nice. Yeah, he's yeah.
That's all. I only know what I know from 1980s action films, so you can't really hold me accountable for anything that I say. That's how I say this. All right, so what would be, we're going to say goodbye, but you guys are happy with this?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Yes. So everything, like, so I feel like I don't want to let you down now because I knew you would be excited. Like, I feel like I let you down. No. There's a lot of looking around.
I was really nervous for it.
Are you?
I was kind of nervous too.
Wait, Kyla, you were nervous? Or Nicole? Kyla was.
I was.
Is she talking more or less, Nicole, than she usually does right now? Or the same?
Honestly, less. But she does so many plays, right? She knows how to handle her nerves, and she does it through talking like slightly less. Like this is her normal level. This is her like I'm on recording and stage level, you know?
So Kyla, we've learned that you were dialing it back today?
Just slightly.
Oh, sweetheart, that's not probably good. Okay, and then have you been nervous the whole time?
I get nervous pretty easily. I'm not really good at like talking on public or with the camera. No. But talking about like diabetes in our life is making me pretty comfortable.
You're pretty comfortable. And for the record, your father's not a gun runner, is that right?
No, he's not. He's a Spanish teacher.
But let's be honest, if he was, do you think he would tell you? Or do you think he'd pretend to be a Spanish teacher? You see what I'm saying? Right. So there's no way for you.
He's one of my brother's teachers, so I think he's okay.
He's one of your brother's teachers. Hey, you can know Spanish and break a law, by the way. And Nicole,
that's true.
Nicole, you were nervous, but you warmed into it, right? You're okay now.
Yeah, okay. I'd say so. Yeah.
All right. It's going to be possible that like 5 years from now, I might keep the podcast going forever, just so 5 years from now, the three of you can do this again, because I think that would be incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
I really do.
But, like, I'm going to be like this quiet little.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
No, you won't, Kyla. So, okay. Look, I've learned one thing tonight for sure. I know you're not going to be a quiet little thing 5 years from now. That I've figured out. Okay. Anything we didn't say? Are we good?
Very good.
Excellent. This is very cool. Is your mom
Just
there?
that we love your podcast.
Pardon?
Wait, Amaya was saying something nice about me. Quiet down, Kyla. Say it again.
That we really love your podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am, to be super sincere, I'm incredibly touched that you guys listen to it and that it's helpful to you at all. It really is very strange for me to sit here and think that there are three of you even met each other, but that you met each other and listened to this thing that I do so far away from where you are and that it's helpful to you is it's kind of overwhelming. If I talked about it for real, I'd get really sappy. So I don't want to do that. But it's really very gratifying that you like it and that it's valuable. So thank you very much for saying that. And Amaya, for being the only one to think to say it. You're now my favorite, just so you know.
Yay.
You can hold that over the other two's heads. Do you want me to rank you in the way I like you, or no? That would.
I think it would be Amaya, Nicole, me.
Why do you think that? That's
Because I talk too much. I know it about myself. Like, it's not a thing that I pretend that's not, like, I know I talk too much.
You don't talk too much. This is a podcast. If nobody talked, it would be horrible. And I don't have an order that I like you in. I think the three of you are actually really delightful, and together you're kind of amazing. So I'm super happy that you met each other. Hold on tight to each other. Don't let like
Thank you.
dating get in between you. Okay. And look out for each other. Okay? Seriously, can you look out for each other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Nicole's the tallest, so we'll make her the muscle. In case, like, Nicole, if some shit went down, could you take care of it, or what do you think? Can you throw some hands, or?
They both play basketball, and I'm more like volleyball, and I don't have really good aim. So.
Wait, Kyla, you play basketball? Did they bring the net down for you? No.
Well, I play basketball and volleyball, and like we use the same net for
I'm
basketball.
teasing you. I know they don't bring a new net. I am just teasing you because you're shorter.
Yeah, I was like, why? Because I'm short.
Yeah, in volleyball, you have to play the back line, though, right? You're in the back line.
I actually tease her a lot about that being short.
Yeah, but she's only like an inch taller than me, so.
You're not the ball in volleyball, right? They let you play. You get to use your hands and everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love, Kylie, the one thing that's interesting about you is you're a little too young for my sarcasm. It misses you a little bit. It's interesting. I enjoy it. Amaya gets it, but she can't bring herself to say anything, and Nicole's just having way too good of a time. I don't know what's happening. I'm having a hard time saying goodbye to you girls. All right. I want to thank you very much. Hey girls, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your experiences with everyone. If you guys want to see a photo that the girls took together after they were done recording, it's at juiceboxpodcast.com on the page for this specific episode. They sent me a group photo and their blood sugars, which I found heartwarming, and you'll see why when you see the picture. I reminded you at the beginning about the T1D Exchange. I'm going to do it again here. T1dexchange.org/juicebox. Type 1 adults, Type 1 caregivers who are U.S. residents, head over, take the survey. It does not take long. It is not incredibly personal. The information it's not like it's like, oh, that was Billy. Like, it's not like that. They're just general questions that go a long way towards helping people with Type 1, and it benefits the podcast. T1dexchange.org/juicebox. And even though there were no sponsors on today's show, why not just say this? I love the sponsors. The Dexcom G6, the Contour Next One blood glucose meter, the Omnipod tubeless insulin pump, Gvoke HypoPen, and Touched by Type 1. There are links to all the sponsors right on the front page of juiceboxpodcast.com. If you ever need the world's greatest CGM, the best blood sugar meter I've ever used, the bomb diggity in insulin pumps, the glucagon that my daughter carries, or support for people with type 1 diabetes, you go to juiceboxpodcast.com, scroll down to sponsors, and click there. I'm not saying you have to go check out meters, but if you're going to, support the podcast. That's all. You understand? And Omnipod's doing like a free 30-day trial of the Omnipod Dash. You have to find out if you're eligible, but it's worth checking out at omnipod.com/juicebox. Contour's got a test strip saving program, and I think some people are eligible for free meters. That's contournext.com/juicebox. You can get started with the Dexcom G6 at dexcom.com/juicebox. You can check out the glucagon that my daughter carries, gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox. And of course, Touched by Type 1 is out there helping people with type 1 diabetes, and they're at touchedbytype1.org. and on Facebook and Instagram. The Diabetes Pro Tip episodes are right there in your podcast player or at diabetesprotip.com. Links to everything are in the show notes of your podcast player. Thanks so much for leaving amazing reviews for the show where you listen. Thank you for rating the show, giving it the 5 stars, and then leaving some amazing words. That's huge. Of course, the thing that helps the show the most is when you share it with other people. So anytime you've told another person, hey, you should check out the Juicebox Podcast, that goes a long way. And I really appreciate it. For those of you who are looking for more in-person community, you can check out the Facebook page for the show. It's private, and you can feel comfortable talking in there. Juicebox Podcast, Type 1 Diabetes on Facebook. There's a Bold with Insulin page. That's the public page, but the private page is called Juicebox Podcast. All right, that's it. It's Friday. I'm going outside. I have a bush to replace. Bought a bush last year and it died. It just is like turned brown. It's gone. So I'm replacing it. Now you know my excitement. I hope you have a good weekend as well. Dig the music.